Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to have my good buddy Jordan Jones from Hunting the Mason-Dixon podcast on here, just to really, shoot the breeze, man, and see what's been going on. It's been about a year. Sorry, Jordan's texting me, so I'm getting a little sidetracked here. It's been about a year since Jordan was here, and I know a lot has happened since then. His podcast has grown considerably, and dude, I'm excited to hear about what's been going on with him. I listen to his stuff regularly. Very good stuff. So go check him out. And sure, we're gonna talk deer, talk turkeys, and it's always a good time to get Jordan on here. So before we do that, we got to run through the partners. This podcast is brought to you by Sportsman's Empire. That is a podcast network that hosts my show and a bunch of other shows it's a wide range of things. And you got how to hunt turkeys, you got how to hunt deer, you got antler up, you got Western rookie. I mean, there's a ton of really good content on there. So go check those guys out. Thank you to Dan for letting us be a part of the family. And man, so blessed to be working with him. Let's see. Next up, Osseo Gear. So Osseo Gear is the camo brand that I trust. That is the camo that I've been using now for going on 3 years. And dude, there's nothing like it. They just dropped, I don't know if it's still available. It should be, but they just dropped a new turkey vest up there at Osseo, where they partnered up with my buddy Jay Maxwell. So that's really exciting to see. I don't think I'll be using it just because I don't personally want to invest in turkey equipment until I know that's something I'm going to do, right? Like, this is my first season turkey hunting. So I'm just going to go with the bow and slate call and see what happens. So, but anyway, Osseo Gear just makes a great product. If you guys are looking to change your camo up this year, I highly recommend you go with them. Let's see. Next up, Boutique. So the Boutique is an arrow wrap company that makes the best arrow wraps in the game by far. I actually just finished up my 2026 arrow build, and then Mike dropped another, like a March edition of, I think, 5 or 6 different wraps that he's using. And I was like, dude, why you got to come out of the gate swinging like that? Like, now I'm going to have to buy more. So, Mike's a freaking artist, man. He makes some of the best stuff I've ever seen. So head over there and go get your arrow wraps for tack or for deer season, or if you just like building arrows like me. He makes the best stuff, so go use it. Let's see. Next up, G5 Outdoors. I'm going to be using, once again, the G5 Mega Meat this deer season, and I'll be using the new Dirty Bird for turkey season, which is a decap head. If you fold it up, it actually looks like the energy sword from Halo for all you video game nerds out there, like myself. Dude, that broadhead's sick. Excuse me, God, my throat. That broadhead is sick. So I am very excited to be using that. Very happy to be working with G5. They make a wide range of amazing products, and go support them. Next up, Prime Archery. So I am using the currently I have the Prime form. I have a Prime Divide 31 on the way. I don't know when it's going to get here, but once it does, I'm going to make a video on that, of the full bow build, the full arrow build, everything I'm going to be using, everything that I talk about every week on here. You guys will actually get to see that. So I'm really excited about that. Prime makes, in my opinion, the best shooting bow. It might not be the fastest, but you guys know I don't really care that much about speed these days, and I care more about comfort and stability, and Prime definitely comes out of the gate swinging with that. So head over to primearchery.com, or I'm sorry, g5prime.com, and go check out what they have. They have 8 different models of the new Divide, so they're literally covering everything for everybody. And remember, nothing aims like a Prime. So let's see. Next up, dialed archery. So I am using still using the proof. I actually got a new proof that now, with this new configuration with the mic and with all this other stuff, I don't know if you guys remember, but back behind me was nasty. I cleaned it up. Everything's all clean for our in-person guest episodes we'll be doing soon. So you can't see the proof that I'm using right now. But once some more things, and I said this last week too, once some more things are solidified, I will start using that, and I'll start showcasing it. So be on the lookout for that. Dialed makes the best sight on the planet. The new proof that I am running does have the Mag 3BA, which is the adjustable vertical pins. And let me tell you, first time ever using something like that, I don't think I'll ever use anything different. It makes it so much easier to really sight everything in. And it's just a clearer sight picture. I don't know. It's cool having that adjustability. So yeah, head over to Dialed Archery. They are going to be dropping some small batches here soon, and I'm very excited to see what they drop because I don't know. I just know they're dropping them. Let's see. Next up, Moultrie cell cams. So I actually just put out some more deer feed. Right now, some bucks are going to be dropping their antlers here in Georgia. They're really not dropping yet. I still have in the past week had bucks show up with full headgear. So letting these Moultries do their job. They've been working great. I have one that the battery's died. I do need to go replace that, but I really can't find the time anymore. So we'll see. I'll probably end up doing it next week. But yeah, those Moultrie cams are working great. They have the new Moultrie Edge 3 Pro, the Edge 3, and the Edge Solar. So I do plan on getting some of those for this coming off season to start scouting and new spots and all that other stuff. Once I do that, I'll tell you guys what I think. I'm sure that it's going to be a knockout. I haven't heard anything bad about them. So yeah, head over to Moultrie.com and go get your new cell cams. Let's see, Bow Hunting League. Been working with Bow Hunting League now for about a year-ish, I think. Great guys to work with. For those of you that were in the league last year, if you shot a buck, your shirts should be showing up within the next week or two, at least from what I was told. And if you guys want to be a state sponsor like me, then head over to the website listed down in the description, along with everything else, all of the discount codes. Go to the Bow Hunting League website, sign up for your state. If you're in Georgia, let them know that I sent you, that you heard about it from here, because it helps us out, also helps them out. And if you have any questions about the state sponsorship, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer. Let's see. Next up is Boning Archery. Same old, same old. Still going to be using the Boning Alphas. Scrape Doctor. Haven't got my scrape stuff together just yet. It's kind of early for me to, in my opinion, start doing like spring scrapes, which I know that's not really a thing a lot of people do. I like to do it because it keeps the deer scent in the area, makes them more comfortable. If you go back and listen to the episode with James, we talk a lot about that. So let's see. Next up, Victory Archery. Still running the HLRs. Like I said earlier, I'm doing another arrow build because Mike just can't seem to stop making good stuff. Then we got Catalyst Archery. I am very impressed with their stuff. Catalyst Archery, for those of you who don't know, is a stabilizer company that they make high quality stabilizers at an affordable price, which means a ton to me. So definitely go support those guys. And last but not least, Unbound Archery. That's a new partner for the podcast. For those of you that didn't hear last week's episode, Nick and I talked, and I told him, dude, I love the strings. They're the best strings that I personally have ever used, and I've shot quite a few different types, and I love them. So I really wanted to work with Nick, and he was all for it, man. So he was kind enough to give us a discount code, and I've got the links and everything down below. But if you're looking at new strings for your bow this year, go to Unbound Archery. You can do any color you want. You can even do this thing he calls the Crayola package, which is like a mix of a bunch of different random colors that you really don't know what you're getting until it shows up. And if you want to see what they look like, as far as the strings and all that other stuff, like my wife's bow right here, if you're watching the video, you can see she's got cotton candy, pink and blue. So cute. But anyway, yeah, I am very, very thankful to be working with Nick and everybody else, honestly, on this list. So that's all the partners. I know Jordan told me he's reading a book to his kids right now, so he said he's going to get set up in the next few minutes. So before we jump on with Jordan, I've got to talk to you guys. I do this every episode. I have to talk to you about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And the Lord's been working a lot in so many different ways this week. And last week I messed up. I said some weird name for the church that me and my wife have started going to. It's actually Stanton Springs in Social Circle. So shout out to Stanton Springs. You guys are amazing, extremely welcoming. You preach the word correctly, and we are very proud to call you guys our church. So for all of y'all that are in the local area, if you're looking for a church to go get plugged into, that's the place to go. The Holy Spirit is definitely there. Presence of Jesus is there even more than I think, honestly, some places that I've been in the past, and I've been wrestling with some stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I've been wrestling with, which route I want to go and what, I just want to serve, Jesus correctly. Right. So, but the Lord's kind of shown me that I'll say this, the traditions are important, but what he's really after is relationships. So, that's my preacher moment. Take that for what you guys will, but Jordan just texted me he's ready. So let's hop on here with Jordan Jones from the Hunt and Mason Dixon podcast.
My buddy Jordan Jones from the Hunting the Mason Dixon podcast. If you don't listen to that podcast, then you are kind of lame. Got to be honest, because it's a great one. Dude, it's been what, a year since you've been on here?
I think so, somewhere close to that.
Yeah, because Kurt connected us, I want to say early last spring, and you came on. Um, had a great episode, and then I remember going on yours, and you asked me a bunch of hard hitting questions I've never been asked before. So I knew that you were good at this, and then I listened to the podcast even more. I was like, "Damn, this dude's damn good at this." So, what?
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, what has your first, I guess, what would you say, year and a half, 2 years of podcasting been like?
Man, it's been fun, challenging, a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. I think we talked about it before, like finding the right guest, to um, get you the content that you want to have, yours is really focused a lot like mine, just kind of that, just two buddies talking, shooting the shit, kind of deal. My podcast has been, I've been trying to get, as many people that other people know, obviously for download purposes.
Yeah,
But I also like, hey, I want to get to know these people myself. I always looked up to a lot of these people, and they've been really fortunate, or I've been very fortunate to get a lot of these people on, and it's really taken off here. The first year, was trying to get traction, get my feet under me, and in the last, I mean, I'll be 2 years. Let's see here. I launched it in June of 2024, so I'll be 2 years June of 2024. And as of today, just on Spotify downloads, I just surpassed 50,000 downloads, just on Spotify from my life, of being in the podcast game. So I was pretty happy about that. Kurt sent that to me today,
yeah,
and we shared it on the story. So just on the Spotify side, I hit 50,000 for lifetime. So I was really, really, really happy about that. And then Apple was about that many as well. And so I've been super thankful to all my listeners, let me rant and, talk a bunch of shit. And, I've had some guests that, some hard hitting truths there, and I don't
yeah,
mind calling them out for it. So if you listen to my podcast, sometimes it may not be kid friendly, sure, but on a lot of ways, there's a lot of heartfelt stuff that we talk about. The episode that's going to drop this coming Friday, it's Wednesday, the fifth now or something? The fourth.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So May the fourth be with you, March the fourth be
Couple
with you,
months early, but
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, close enough. But
yeah,
the one that launches this coming Friday, it's a big mental health episode. We joke all the way through, and then there's a guy that tells a story, and there was five of us in the like in the basement here where I
yeah,
do my podcast, and we was all in tears, man. We was all crying. So there's a lot of that good stuff, and it's been fun being able to see all the different walks of life that people live, and being able to interview those type of people. And I'll tell you, the best thing about every bit of this is it's fun, and I can do it in my basement.
yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
been
nice not
really
having
fun.
to, I'm sure, Kurt and them have probably gotten used to having to pay rent or whatever on the building, but it's kind of nice just going downstairs and recording, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about driving nowhere or drinking too much and not being able to get home. I mean, that
I mean, he's got well, the good thing is about the studio there. I mean, he does have living quarters in it.
that is
So,
true. That is true.
so,
Yeah, it's dude, like I really enjoy like the story that is your podcast because you like I'll give you an example. I started working with the Sportsman's Empire like 2 months ago, right?
hmm
So there was a meeting that me and Dan and this other kid had, and I mean I've been doing this now going on 4 years this August or no this July, and so you go into it and you're like, all right, well I kind of know how the game works, and the questions to ask, and then this new kid was on there and he's never done one before, and so I was like curious, to see where he stood, and it's knowing that I know people that have started well after I've already done or started mine, and then getting to see the growth, especially like with you, like dude, that's a hundred
hmm
thousand people. Think about
yeah.
that. That's like a stadium worth of people. That's
Yeah, that was like the
crazy.
NWTF worth of all those people, how many
Yes,
times people's listened,
exactly.
Obviously it's reoccurring numbers and things, but
But still, okay, so cut it in half. That's still 50,000 people. I
yeah,
mean, that I don't think we can really fully understand what it's like to reach that many people,
yeah,
because let's be honest, like the stuff that we say on these shows, it can influence a lot of folks. I've got a
hmm
buddy of mine that calls me every day that, he's got ideas now for something to do with deer tracking. And he said that
yeah,
he listened to one of the podcasts I did and he was like, dude, I want to, create my own thing. And it's like, it's just crazy, man.
yeah,
It,
yeah. It's awesome, the people that send me the messages and things that like I'll just be honest here. Like my wife, she doesn't like she is my biggest supporter, number one biggest supporter. But there's a lot of times like she don't understand like sometimes like what we talk about and things
yeah,
like that. And I try to tell her, hey, it's just hunting stories. Sometimes it gets heartfelt. Sometimes I tell people they're idiots, and sometimes I tell people that they're the best person I've ever met. And
yeah,
um, but it's the messages that I've received. Like, hey, there's a lot of times what you've said. Like, I'm glad that somebody said it. Nobody's willing to say it, and that's one thing that's helped me. Working Class Bow Hunter is the owner of my podcast, and I work with Kurt and all them. And the good thing is about that is I get like a kind of a little bit of a listener base, but they're like, "Hey, yours aligns with working class, so it's easier for them to listen to it." Now, I
yeah,
do get a lot of new people that listen. That I mean, we live in the Bible Belt. Eric, you and I both do, and the only negative reviews I've ever really gotten was like, "Hey, I wish the cussing wasn't so harsh."
yeah,
But that's not my audience I want anyway.
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love for everybody in the country to listen. Then I could do this for a living, but there's a lot of things that there's a way more good things that have come out of this podcast than ever will be bad. And it gives me a good avenue. It gives me a good avenue to talk about hunting, not have to talk about it around my wife all the time to where she's like, oh my gosh, I wish you'd stop. And then, but I can show her those messages, what I was getting to. I can show her those messages and just let her read through hundreds of messages that I've received over the last year and a half to almost 2 years
yeah,
of how much it like means to them and stuff like that. And that's why I do it. It really means a lot to me because not many people can do that.
yeah. I mean, it is a thing, and I hope the audio doesn't come through all staticky on that messing
Well,
with the mic,
if you,
but
I'll give you a little piece of advice. Is your phone on airplane mode?
no, but I can make it on airplane mode.
Put it on airplane mode. Mine
Now
does
it's on
that.
airplane mode.
You put it on airplane mode. That cord on the off the back of that mic. See,
Yeah,
you're upgrading now, going to mics now.
I'm trying.
But the cord off of that mic will try to pick up service from your phone, and so that's what that clicking
Really?
and static noise is.
Okay. Honestly, this thing looks like it's probably about to fall off. So if we get a like wild sound because it's leaning back now, I'm gonna leave it in there because it's raw. But
It's part of
it
podcasting,
is
man.
well,
That
and the thing is, like the table I'm using is not made for this. You
yeah.
know, like it's. I mean, maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get back on track here. You know what? Hold on. I'm fixing this thing because it is. This is
Well,
getting.
I'll tell you this while you're in intermission there. So episode 100's coming up for me, and um, I'm taking all my mics off the mic stands. I only have 4 mics, but there's going to be 8 of us down here, so we're all going to be sharing mics and doing stuff like that. So the audio is going to be crazy. I mean, it's going to be in and out, and I mean, the goal is to drink 100 beers before the episode ends, between 8 of us. So
Good Lord.
that's episode 100, and we record that next weekend. It doesn't launch till the beginning of April, but
Yeah. I'll
but
be
it's
praying for you. 100
yeah.
beers. That's
Yeah,
insane.
but between 8 guys, that's only like 12 or 13 beers, a
Yeah,
piece.
true.
So it's not too bad, but I've kind of stopped drinking beer. So I'm on this big
Mm,
health kick now and trying to, like, I've lost 30 pounds and I'm
yeah,
trying to, like, lose about 10 more right before turkey season. So I'm
yeah.
going, ah,
So you do
screw
look
it.
a little thinner around the neck there
Yeah.
than last time. I
Well,
noticed it.
yeah, it's I'm just trying to get healthier and things like that. So I mean, or we'll do like 100 drinks or 100 beers. It's like one drink, like so I'll get like a vodka soda or whatever. So that way, maybe I'm not pumping in too many calories. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's been fun. I can't believe I'm almost at 100 episodes. That blows my mind there.
Yeah, that I mean, I'm just I'm just happy for you, bro.
I appreciate
Like
it.
I love seeing like I said, the growth, and Kurt and those guys are awesome dudes. Like I knew once Kurt told me that like you were going to be their Southern podcast, I knew it was going to be a hit because we have like the culture
Oh,
down
stop
here.
glazing, man.
No,
Stop
I'm
glazing.
just saying like the culture down here, because mine, in the beginning of it, I really it was I was trying and I'll be honest about this. I was trying to model it after like working class, right?
Yeah,
Where it's
as you
like,
should. I mean, it
yeah.
works. Why wouldn't you?
Well, and like I wanted it to be like the Southern version of working class. And then yeah, this thing is so not gonna work. I'm just gonna hold it. Anyway, I was trying to make it like the Southern version of working class, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, as good as their stuff is, I almost feel like I'm forcing it. And
Hmm.
then I got way deeper in my faith and started feeling a little convicted about some of the things that I was doing and saying. And so like when I'm on here, I really like you were saying people complain about like the cussing and stuff. We all do it. I mean, you and I have
Yeah,
talked on the phone before when we're not on here, and like I talk exactly the same as
sure,
like you do, right?
sure.
Um, but I do feel like because every episode I'll put out like, hey guys, if you don't know who Jesus is, if I do that and then I'm in the episode and I'm like, oh well, F this, F that. Like I had Greg Poole on the podcast like 2 months ago. And within the first 5 minutes, he was talking about, girls showing their buttholes on TikTok for archery equipment. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. It's like there's nothing you
Yeah.
can do, right?
Well,
But
I mean, you look at it, there's two ways to look at it. Just because one person says one thing doesn't mean that that should change who you are as a person. But if you are trying to change for the better and trying to make yourself better, I do thoroughly agree. You can't control other people and you can't let people control you, in a lot of ways. And that's one good thing I love about Kurt. If you listen to the episode that I did, Jacob Johnson and I did on the working class episode last year around the shoot time, we kind of talked about, like, Kurt literally looked at it and said, you can say whatever you want, and that is really nice to have that, because you just don't feel like, well, I've got to kind of be a little bit, I guess, censored, because I'm not a censored person because I have nothing to hide and I don't really care what people think. But also, on the other hand, it's just kind of like, if you're trying to clean yourself up, what could, if, like, if I see that you're being clean, I'm not going to be over here F bombing and stuff like that, because I'm trying to help you. Looky there. There you go.
dude, I'm tired of it moving. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. It's
Oh, I don't
literally
care.
like I'm seeing it slowly come closer towards me. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, you're
Okay.
good.
Cool.
The idea, you just look goofy.
I mean, it is what it
Well,
is.
that's
I'll
just
fix it
natural,
later.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, if you're trying to clean yourself up, the person that's going to be on the other end, they're going to clean their own self, their own act up. Because, like, I think of people like my dad. If I see that they're being clean, they don't cuss or anything like that, guess I'm going to do my best to clean myself up.
Yeah.
But whenever you're on my episode, it may be a little different. If I'm controlling the conversation, then we'll go, I'll do and say as I want. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I'm going to be a butthole about it. But also, on the other hand, what I like about the working class style, they don't care. I mean, there's obviously things that I do and I will never say and would never say, but I don't have parameters that I got to keep it around, and that is super nice because then I can be relaxed, right? Looky
Yeah,
there.
I'm trying, bro. I'm sorry. This is
I
not
don't care.
professional. Anyway, I
Hey,
feel like I'm
who
singing on
cares?
stage now.
Hey, I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do, man. You got to
Right?
do what you got to do for the podcast.
Yeah, I just need a new table. Anyway, no, I agree. And that's the thing is like, it definitely was because when I was on yours last year, one of the things you asked me is how am I able to talk about this stuff with having so little experience, right?
Hmm.
And the thing that I remember us both agreeing on is that I just try to keep it as genuine as I can, and
Yeah.
that is the whole point. So like when I felt like convicted about, all right, well, I'm not really doing that. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I mean, there was an episode with Kurt. I think it was actually one of the last ones he came on, maybe like a year or two ago, that I had to bleep out one of the words that I said because after I did it, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't know how this is going to get, taken or anything like that. And I didn't like that. So I'm like, why don't I just not do that? You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I mean, none of the partners care. That was one of the things I was worried about at first because I'm like, dude, what if they hear this? And, I don't know their stance on things. And I eventually got to the point where it's like, I'm just going to do what I like. If you and I were in the same room right now talking, that's how I'm going to do it,
Well, see, the good thing is this sounds bad, like with the partners that I associate with, I don't want to associate with somebody that don't want me to be myself.
Exactly.
And like, if I hang out with people that are like, God, every time he's like this, he's like that, and I don't want to be around it, cool. I'm a grown man. I don't have to hang around you. I don't have to do anything like that. If every time I do something or say something, you don't like it. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, if it's everybody I put myself around, I'm like, okay, maybe I should do some soul searching,
Yeah.
right? I'm not an idiot, but also on the other hand, it's like, I don't like your stance on this. Cool. Can we still be friends? No, because I don't like your stance on this. Okay, then we'll shake hands and go on about our business, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about the partners that I work with and the people that I'm around. It's like, hey, you can be yourself, and that's what we love. And obviously, the numbers are starting to show a little bit more and more and more, and that people love it whenever I am myself. So
Yeah. Well, and
it
that's
helps.
I think the thought process that I had was like overthinking it, because I was still relatively new and didn't realize that like most of the partners probably don't. I think maybe one or two actually listen to the podcast. So
Yeah.
I could probably say anything and nothing would come of it. But I don't know. It I hope me saying that doesn't sound like I'm like, hey Jordan, you really need to clean it up because I don't think you.
No,
I
I'm gonna
I
do.
love what you're doing. Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, I'm
thing,
not going to clean it up. I mean,
Yeah.
it just depends on who I'm in the room with. I can read the room pretty well
Yeah.
whenever I'm with people. If I'm interviewing my dad for the podcast, you're not going to hear me say and do some of the things that I would normally do, and it's not because look at me, like I'm better than that. I can do as I want,
Yeah.
but also it's like, okay, I just read the room. If I got two old 70-year-old men sitting here talking or 80-year-old men sitting here talking and they're talking about Jesus, I'm not going to be saying
Dropping F-bombs
GD
and
or
all that other
dropping
stuff. Yeah.
F-bombs and stuff like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whenever me and two of my buddies get together and we've been drinking all night and all of a sudden, boom, I mean, everything that we say and do is like, it's a cuss word every other word. And,
Yeah.
we say some very derogatory terms,
But
and
it's funny.
you
That's the
have to,
thing.
well, I mean, you have to have, you cannot be in this game and one, not be yourself, but you got to have just enough professionalism in you to know when to switch that on and to
Mhm.
switch the other side on.
Yep.
And so many podcasts, there's not a lot of podcasts where people can go on there and make it their own and or be themselves and be very successful because they may not be a likable person in the first place
Yeah.
or what they do and say is idiotic. But there's also a lot of people that says, oh, I'm going to go be super professional. It's kind of like, I hate to say this, right?
Yeah.
Um, I've been to churches before, right? And
Oh
I'm a
boy.
God-fearing man, and I'm a Christian man.
Jordan,
I've been
before
to,
you keep going, you might be opening up a can of worms that
well, let's
I
do it. I don't
I don't
care.
know if we can
Uh,
I don't know if we can close it, but all right, keep going.
We'll just say this, and then we'll go on about hunting.
Yeah.
I have been to churches before, and I know that you'll have some of your listeners, and and my listeners will listen to this podcast as well. I've been to church before where they're preaching. They're throwing the Bible down your throat. The preacher's throwing the Bible down your throat, and then you see him doing lines off the back of the toilet the next weekend, and you're like, who are you? Who are you to tell me? Or they're committing adultery and cheating on their wives, or they're
Hmm.
doing all this, and I'm like, hold on a minute, you can't.
Yeah.
There's a level of professionalism that you have one day, but the 6 other days you're a piece of crap. You can't be that. You can't do that. And there's people
Yeah.
in the hunting industry that do it. There's people in every walk of life. At some point, they've been a piece of crap, and somebody has seen it. And then if you any way try to preach to me and say, hey, you need to control yourself. Like, hold on a second. I want you to look in the mirror before you put parameters on me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for the rant there, but that really happens. I had a
Yeah.
guy call me, got my number somehow from somebody, called me, talked to me about the podcast.
It
He's
wasn't
like,
me.
you are a father and you're a husband and you have a very good job and you do this and you're saying the derogatory term for gay. I'll keep it PG on this,
Yeah.
and the F word for the opposite side. He's like, and
Really?
you're saying that you said GD. Like, who are you? And I looked at him and I said, brother, you got the wrong number. And I just hung up on him.
Oh
And
wow.
like, my thing, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, if you hate me or hate the way I talk or the way that I would, just don't tune in, man. Just click it to the next podcast. Go to
Yeah.
your podcast, the Southeastern Bow Hunter podcast, and get a little bit more clean. Go to the Southern Outdoorsman podcast, and it's very clean.
Very.
But if you want to be like, man, I'd like to be able to crack open a beer and I'd like to be able to just hang out with my buddies or sit here in the shop while I'm working on a car or I'm in a tree stand or because I couldn't have nobody with me on my hunting trip this year, but I want to be able to listen to other people that have that. Then you can turn on Hunting the Mason Dixon. You can turn on Victory Jive. You can turn on Working Class Bow Hunter. You can turn on Tackle and Tacos. You can turn on Southeastern Bow Hunter podcast, and you can feel like you're there with somebody that you can be buddies with. And that is
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me.
I mean, it's funny you bring up the church thing because we actually just, I don't want to say experienced this. So my wife and I found a church that we actually feel welcomed in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the South, there's multiple different types. One of my favorite things to point out is the type of how can I put this the right way?
You got
The,
Baptist, you got Southern Baptist, you got Pentecostal, and you got Baptist
well, and you also have the type like this is I don't know what this falls in, but
and
what I'm
Methodist
thinking
there in
of
there.
is the person that will sit there and throw the Bible down your throat. And they may be speaking the truth. They may be speaking good stuff. And then 5 minutes later, they'll start saying racist comments or they'll hate on somebody. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, wait. That's not, you just told me basically all four books of the gospel. And now you're calling this dude this derogatory term. Like, that's hate, dude. What are you doing? Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's so hypocritical. Like we went to, I'll tell you this one quick story. So we went to this one church that's maybe like 30 minutes from our house, right? Mother-in-law wanted to go there. We did go one time for Christmas service, and it was great. Like I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife, I was like, we need to go back. So we picked a Sunday and we went back. Dude, the message was all about money. And then at the end of it, he had all the teenagers in the front row. And the message to the kids was, well, if you have premarital sex, you're going to burn in hell. It was that, but there was no message of repentance, forgiveness, mercy, any of that. And I looked at Jessica and I'm like,
We ain't going back.
we're never going back. I wanted to stand up and be like, hey, pastor, you're missing about half of that message there, buddy. But
Well,
it's just one of those things, man.
before we segue into wherever you want to take this,
Yeah.
you'll like this joke. You know the difference between a Baptist and a Methodist?
What?
A Methodist will talk to you at the liquor store.
That's so true. I don't know though. A lot of my family's Baptist, and they definitely know how to throw it down. I used to be
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Don't
dude,
worry.
I
I'm
don't know.
looking
I
at
don't
four
want to,
bottles of liquor down here.
yeah,
So
like I still pick up a beer from time to time, but I
yeah,
actually
Jesus
went to
turned
the
water into
doctor.
wine, brother.
Do what?
Jesus turned water into
Yep,
wine.
facts.
He
I
turned
went
water
to
to
the
wine.
I went to the doctor and had some blood work done,
Oh,
and
dude.
my liver came back a little high, so I was like,
Enzymes, brother. Yeah,
"Ooh,
I just
my
got
early
mine back
20s were
3 weeks
rough."
ago. Yeah, I
Like,
just got my blood work back done a few weeks
dude,
ago because I wanted to get on TRT and my test was just a little bit too high for insurance to
yeah.
cover it, so I ain't doing it. And but liver enzymes were a little high, blood
Hmm.
pressure a little high, cholesterol
Yeah.
a little high. So that's the reason I was like, okay, maybe I need to lose a bunch of weight.
Maybe
Maybe I
cut
need to
back on the
start
drink a
doing
bit.
this. Yeah,
You say that,
yeah.
and then you're doing 100 beers in like 2 weeks.
There's 8 of us, okay.
Okay, fine, 23, whatever. It doesn't
I got
matter.
one guy will drink 20. I got another
Well,
guy that'll drink 20. So
maybe slip
technically,
them a couple of years.
yeah, no, no, not even gonna do that. No, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I got one guy, he don't drink, and I think he's gonna bring Bush NAs, so non-alcoholic beer. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay, those
okay.
will count. Those will count.
That works.
Give him that. That'll count because he don't drink, and he's like, but I want to be a part of it. Cool,
Yeah.
that's totally fine. If he does, we're gonna make fun of him the entire podcast, but it's okay. We're still gonna do it.
Good episode. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah, it's
excited.
good.
Well, let's change gears for a minute because we've literally been rambling on now about nothing to do with hunting for the past 30 minutes.
Who
And
cares? Who
hey, you
cares?
know what? I enjoy it. This is so much different than the last episode we did, but I want to hear about your season this past year. You had a pretty, if I remember right, you had a pretty solid season, right?
Yeah, it was decent. I started off the year. I was like, I'm gonna chase some deer with a recurve, and I opening morning had a pretty nice 8 pointer come in, let him go, and then I was like, all right, I'm shooting a doe. I'm gonna go ahead and thump a doe, and I brought my camera equipment, everything like that, and I told a buddy of mine there was another really nice 8 pointer showing up, and he went and sat in that stand and he killed that deer.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm gung ho to shoot either a big buck or a doe with my recurve. First one shows up, I'm shooting it. Well, here comes a couple does. They kind of bust me, and wind kind of swirled. They bust me. 30 minutes later, they come back in, and they made their way, and they kind of started skirting. I'd baited, and they kind of skirted outside from it, and I'm like, they're going to get my wind again. That's what they're trying to do is come back downwind and bust me again. And I had this one hole that was a little bit bigger than a basketball. I'll send you the clip. A little bit bigger than a basketball, and I watched it. I was like, all right, I'm not going to shoot the first doe because I want to make sure she's going to go through that hole. And I was like, the second doe was right behind her, and she was the hoss nanny anyway. So this first doe goes through it, and I click the hole, and it's 31 yards. And I've killed a few deer with a recurve at 30, and I know where to hold. And that second one come out, and I clicked on record and forgot to turn on my daggum microphone on my camcorder because I was like, I don't want the battery to die on the microphone.
Yeah.
And I drew back and I let it eat, and I pole waxed her, and she ran 50 yards and died. And man, you talking about that was the highlight of my season right there.
Dude, I
And
mean, 30 yards with a recurve
yeah,
on
just
anything
got
is insane.
yeah, just got luck. I mean, I practice out to 40
Yeah.
whenever I shoot, and I've only ever shot one deer at 40 yards of the recurve, and it was just a last chance kind of deal, and killed enough animals with the recurve to where I can feel really confident. I'm not saying that's the most ethical thing to do, but
Yeah.
you're only as ethical as the shots that you practice, right? And so I drilled her, whatever, and then I was kind of going through the season. Um, I had a lot of really good deer on camera, but I really never had anything big early. And then it kind of got to mid-October. I mean, I was letting 100 to 115-inch deer walk like crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not punching my first tag on something like that unless it's with my recurve. And I'd carried it, and had a couple missed opportunities where I didn't miss, but like just a couple opportunities that they stayed 35 yards. I'm like, I'm not taking that shot on a 115-inch 8 pointer with a recurve. I'll take that. That sounds bad. I'll take a little bit more of a questionable shot on a doe.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that sounds terrible. Don't hang me for that, but that's just how I am. Um, and I was kind of letting the season kind of progress because up here in North Carolina, our gun season's so long that it's from the first weekend in November to the first weekend in January. I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, when our deer hunting gets good is whenever I get back from whatever rut trip that I'm on. It's usually middle of
Yeah.
November and it's on fire. I've got a boomstick. I can chase some big deer, right? And like I had a buddy of mine. He flew in. He was like, "Hey man, I want to come hunt with you for a couple of days this year, and or a couple of days this year." And he flew in here from Texas and brought his bow. And I was like, all right, I got some deer right here for you that we can go chase. Bunch of 100 to 120 inch deer. And first morning, we get in there and we see like 20 some deer and see a bunch of little bucks and does on some acorns. And I told him, I was like, this evening it's going to happen. This one 9 pointer, he's probably 110 inches. He had showed up every evening for the last 6 evenings. I was like, oh, the wind's going to be perfect, just like it was the day before. I was like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That 9 pointer that evening came in and he shoulder shot it. And deer is still alive, actually. Got him on camera. But so the next morning, we go back to that same stand because there was this buck. He was just this old, just big, mature 5.5 year old deer. He had a big spike coming out of his right side with a big flyer coming off of it, and then he had an 8 point side. You know, if he had both sides, he'd be 115 probably, and that matched. And I was like, all right. I was like, that flyer buck, that is the most mature deer here for sure. I want you to kill him. What he didn't know was I also had a deer there that was like 140. And I was like, if he comes in, you're hanging your bow up. I'm shooting him. And so that was the reason why we were still sitting there. I had just got a picture of that deer like 2 nights before he flew in.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there that morning, and across the road, I have another big property I can hunt across the road. And that deer daylighted on some red oaks over there that morning while we're sitting on this ridge where he just shot that one. And I went, we've got to go over there. I said, we have to. And I was like, we're going to see one deer. I said, but it'll be him. Everything was right.
Yeah.
And we get up there and we're sitting, and it was probably 45 minutes. We run some deer off and going in. I was like, God, I hope that wasn't one of them because it was like right close to where he was bedding. It wasn't. We go and set up, and I'm like, I'm listening. I'm going, I hear a deer walking, and he looks down past me. We're sitting in the tree together. This is his last evening, and we're going to go home that night. And then, he flies back the next day. So I was like, dude, anything goes. Shoot a 4 pointer, shoot a doe, whatever. Well, he looks, he's like, there's a deer, and I put my binoculars on him. He's probably 75 yards off the hill, and I said, that's him. No doubt.
way.
Coming up to those red oaks, and I'd put a little big tine out there as well, but he wasn't really hitting it. He was hammering the red oaks. It was just middle of October. It's time for it, and I'm watching this deer, and he's coming up, and I'm going, our wind is swirling. I was like, it's swirling bad. And the deer gets to 25 yards, and I can shoot him the entire time. And he can't. He's on the wrong side of the tree.
Yeah.
Well, the deer catches our wind and runs way off down this holler and gets over there. And I grabbed my bow because I know it's big, mature deer. I grabbed my bow and I clicked it, and I clicked it, and I clicked it. And it was 75 yards and in the woods. And I had a big enough hole, and I drew back and I settled the pin. I mean, I wasn't shooting a recurve this time, I promise. And
I mean, that's if
yeah,
you killed a deer at 75 with a recurve,
yeah. Howard Hill, who, Byron Ferguson, who. So, um, he was facing dead away from me, but he was walking uphill. So I was shooting into the top of his back, like aiming toward his heart. And I said, if I miss right, I'm going to completely miss him. If I miss left, I'm going to completely miss him. So it wasn't a Texas heart shot. I was shooting down into the top of his back. I was like,
yeah.
If I hit him anywhere behind my pin, he's dead. I'm going to drop him. And I let it eat, and he dropped right in his tracks. And I went right down there, and I put another one in him real quick. And that
Tell
was
me you got that on film.
I got none of it on film. And but thankfully my buddy Cody, I felt so bad because I was trying to get him on a deer. He just flew in. And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm sorry. I was like, but I couldn't let that deer get away. And he goes, that's the most badass shot I've ever seen in my life. And
Way better than Sarah Bomar.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I didn't shoot it up the ass on
There you
purpose.
go.
But I mean, all the haters that are going to hate on me for taking a shot like that, I shoot 100 yards every day,
Yeah.
and I can make that shot no problem. I mean, I'm not going to say that I can hit a beer can every time I shoot it that far, but I can promise you that the arrow is going to get really close to it almost every shot. And but after that, man, it just went to chasing. I'll just keep on rolling on if you want me to.
Yeah.
I I'm I started getting some bigger deer at home, and I left to go to Ohio, and I had some giants in Ohio. I almost shot a um a mega giant, like upper 180s to 190, and in early season, and then but come to find out he died, and then a couple weeks later. And then the rut trip, man, it was unbelievable seeing so many deer, let some 130s, some 140s walk, because I was really trying to chase this one. And there was this one deer we called him CT, his G3 just went dead right. And I saw him like 7 times and could not just make it happen on him. Got him to 50 yards at one point in the bean field, but there was some stuff in the tree I was in hanging down. I actually missed one that was in the 140s, big 9-pointer. It was so cold that day. It was like 9 degrees. Wind was blowing 30 mile an hour. So I was wearing all my big jackets. And here's the only thing I hate about a thumb button. So I was wearing a big jacket, and when I drew back, I couldn't get to my thumb button, all the stuff that was bunched up around. And so I had to hold my hand all the way out, get to my thumb button, and hold it in here, and I could not get my anchor good. And the deer was 40 yards, and I shot, and it hit my arm so hard because my anchor was off. I shot almost a foot in front of him. And he ran out to 80. I took my jacket off and threw it on the ground while he was running. And I drew back and I really settled that pin and I shot. And the wind was blowing so hard, it moved my arrow. So I know the first shot, the wind blew it some, but it was only 40. This time it was at 80. I shot and the wind blew and he kind of like blew and run, and blew and ran at the same time. And it kind of went right by his shoulder. So, and he was, mid to upper 40s 9-pointer. And then I wounded a deer, chasing a doe. This deer was standing still, 130 yards, with a muzzleloader at home. Come home, whatever. Yeah. And I was squeezing off, and because I take a really long trigger pull, and as I was squeezing off, he took off running after the doe, and I grazed the bottom of his chest. Deer's fine. And, but after that, man, I was on deer like crazy, seeing 20 and 30 deer every set, I made my boy pass up a really nice 8-pointer, probably in the 120s, 4-year-old. I'm waiting to grow. And then I was like, God, I wanted to shoot that deer, But I was like, nah, I already told him he can't shoot it, so I'd hate to bring it home. And I was on deer, this was not my year I got really lucky the first couple shots, and then I tried my luck again and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then, I made some rookie mistakes this year that cost me an opportunity. One rookie mistake is what cost me that mid 180s to 190 deer. I didn't know there was a doe 30 yards, and as I switched to go to the other side of the tree to watch him, he was coming, and she caught me, and that's what made him. I'll send you the video of that deer too, but he was a grown one. But
Dude,
that pretty much sums up my season, man.
That sounds like a hell of a season. That's way better than what I had to go through. So
yeah, I mean, I'm very thankful to have all the opportunities that I have. Sure, I sound like I'm complaining, but I mean, I've been doing it long enough to know, like, hey, when you have a 185-inch deer, 100 yards, just get your bow and just stand still until he comes in.
Yep.
But I was trying to shift over to see because he'd made it from 150 to 140 minutes.
Oh wow.
So, but he was coming, but it is what it is.
Hey, it sounds like a good season to me. I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
That's wild, dude. I still can't get over the 35-yard shot with the recurve, man. That
31,
31.
31.
Okay. Well, I'm being a little generous, but
Yeah,
it's because I shot a recurve at 10 yards and I hit the piece of wood holding the bag target that was about 5 foot above
yeah.
it. So
I've been shooting them since I was 12.
okay, so you've got a little
So
bit more experience.
yeah, I've killed like 20 deer with a recurve.
Jesus,
Now
dude. Fred Bear
I
be proud.
missed one. I missed one, and it still haunts me to this day. I should have shot this deer with my compound. I'd killed this deer right here behind me,
Yeah.
that 173 Iowa deer, and shot him at 4 steps with a compound. I wish I'd had my recurve. I tried to take my recurve. My buddy was calling me idiot. So I was like, it's my first day. What's going to happen? And then
Yeah.
I'd have, shot that. Hopefully would have hit it, but, I shot that deer at 4 steps. And there was I shot that deer and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Ohio. Well, there was a deer there that was like, and we knew he was old enough. He was 5.5. But he was like in the mid 150s. And I said, what a deer to kill with a recurve. And I was like, but we also had a deer on that farm that was like 170. And I was like, I'm taking both in the tree with me. And I did. I took my compound and my recurve just in case. And I looked down the hill. It's my second day there in Ohio after I just shot this deer. And here comes baby back. And he starts walking up the hill, and I text my buddy. I said, here comes baby back. He's like, grab your compound. Do not shoot that deer with a recurve. I was like, let me see what he does. And he comes, not gonna lie to you, I was baiting. He comes right to the bait and he drops his head 18 yards or 19 yards. And I was
Mm.
like, yep. So I hung my compound back up. I grabbed my recurve and I drew back and I settled in. And right when I settled in, I thought he's going to drop a little. They always drop with a recurve. They're going to
Yeah.
drop 3 to 5 inches. This deer didn't move a muscle. And I shot and I grazed the bottom of his chest and it ran mid 150s deer. And I was like, why didn't I just shoot that deer? I was like, you want to talk about a season that I would have had? I killed a giant early season in North Carolina. I killed a giant in Iowa. I could have killed another big giant in Ohio. I
Yeah.
was like, what am I doing? But yeah,
I
sometimes that,
mean, you got to step out the box sometimes, you
I
know?
know, but hell, I'd only ever killed. I mean, I've got that 157 9 pointer that you can kind of see right there in the background,
Yeah.
and then I got that one. So I'd only ever killed 2 deer that was bigger than 150. So I was
That's
like,
okay. That's
yeah,
fine. I tried killing
yeah.
a 160 inch deer my second year hunting. So if anybody was trying to jump the gun, it definitely wasn't you. Like,
Well, I mean, I've been really fortunate with the opportunities that I've had and how much I've went out of state and the connections that I've been able to gain over the years and I got to give all the credit to most of these deer to a lot of other people
yeah.
just by saying I mean I don't pay for any of the hunts or anything like that. I gave that farmer right there where I killed the big one a little kickback for letting me hunt his farm for 2 weeks, but it wasn't an outfitter, it was a permission piece, and I was just like, hey man, here's some money. Thank you for letting me hunt.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those it's one of those situations, man, where I try to give credit where credit's due. And a lot of my big deer come from who I know. Now, none of them, no stand was hung for me or anything like that, but it was just this right here is a testament to try to make as many friends in the hunting that you can because sometimes they may give you a little golden egg, and it's what you do with it after that. And I
Yeah.
learned hunting with my dad from years and years and years ago. Like my dad is the reason why I've ever killed a deer before in my life, and he was kind of like the same way. He's like, hey, you don't have to let them, don't hunt their stands, unless they're very adamant about it. But if they say, hey, there's a big deer in there, go see if you can kill it. He said, take advantage of that opportunity. And Still to this day, I don't know of a deer that one of my buddies or somebody I know says there's a giant deer, go kill it. But I do know there's a lot of people that say, "Hey man, I got a couch if you want to sleep on it. Hey man, I've got some intel on some property if you want to go knock on the door and see if you can get permission." And it's just about who you know. A lot of times, whenever you kill big deer, you got to know how to hunt and kill big deer. Sure, I've always said this: you need to become a killer first, and then a big deer hunter second.
Yep.
Most people nowadays want to try to be a big deer hunter first and a killer second. Well, you can't. You don't. When you get a
Yeah.
deer like that in bow range, it is a different feeling. When you get a deer over Pope and Young in bow range, it is a completely different feeling. It is not the feeling that you get when it's a four pointer or a spike or a doe, but when you get a true monarch of a deer, which I think any deer over Pope and Young anywhere is a monarch of a deer, has a
Yeah.
great representation of a whitetail deer. When you get that feeling, the only time that you're going to really be able to say that deer is screwed if he gives me an opportunity is if you're a killer and if you've been a
Yeah.
killer before. If you've not killed a lot of deer and you're trying to put yourself in that opportunity, you're not going to know what to do. It's kind of like you practicing free throws and then all of a sudden you're going to jump in and try to beat Kobe one on one. No, let me go try to beat somebody in my, like, I want to take my experience and put it to the test against somebody on of equal or lesser value,
Yeah.
right? And in that instance, I get these opportunities because people are super nice, and I try to have these great relationships with people, and I don't want to let them down. So I go, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I know that I have the skill set and the ability to get on these deer. They just got to show up. And yeah, I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but that's where I
Well,
went.
I can add to that because having been someone that tried to kill big deer before they were a killer, and I don't even really,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say I consider myself a killer. It took me 3 years to kill a buck, right? Um, since my last one. Like you were saying, seeing a deer of that caliber in person is completely different. I can definitely attest to that because that spike that I got back there, wait, anyway, you can see which one I'm pointing at. That's the only deer I killed last season. That's the first buck I've killed in 3 years. And it's not for lack of trying, but it's more of,
Sure.
just wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. Well, when I shot that deer, because that's the first buck I've ever shot, dude, I was more excited about him than I was for the one back in the corner because
Hmm.
it was just like, one of those moments where you just pray about it and then it shows up, right? You get to the point where you're like, Lord, I don't even care what it is. You could send a button head and I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And it having that experience and then also having a similar experience what you're saying about a completely different age class deer. When I saw my first, probably I wouldn't say Boone and Crockett, but he was definitely well over Pope and Young, on public. I was only 2 years in. I'd never seen a deer that big while in the stand, and the feeling I got then was terror compared to what happened with him. Even though it was
Yeah.
still excitement, but it's a completely different thing. Like I didn't know what to do, and he was only 30 yards, but
Yeah.
granted he did see me, so it's not like I just saw him and didn't take the opportunity. But
Sure.
it's just one of those things that you're 100% right. It's a completely different animal, and a lot of guys, I had this conversation with I think it was Greg Poole. We were talking about the outside, because you and I both being in the industry, we know some of the people that kill these giants, and we have a different view on it than a lot of the regular like consumer does. But the average new bow hunter goes on Instagram and they see, I don't know how many 200s get killed every year throughout the country,
Hmm.
right? And they think, oh, well, if I'm going to do something, I need to kill something like that. And it's like they don't even know the amount of times that we've shot does or that we've shot smaller deer, that we've messed up, and what's led to the point of being able to hold it together when you shoot a giant.
Oh,
And
dude, if you could see on the video that I have right now of all of the spikes and four pointers and six pointers and stuff like that I got on this one wall, there's like
yeah,
40 of them.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
because
Like you've
I
been
was a
there.
killer, I shot everything that I could, Tweety birds, groundhogs, rabbits, uh, crows,
Maybe the
coons.
neighborhood cat.
No, never shot cats. I
I'm
like
just
cats.
kidding.
I shot coyotes. I shot turkeys. I've shot deer. I've shot everything that you could about legally hunt in North
Yeah.
Carolina with a bow. And I'll never forget this. And I try to instill this same thing with my son. My dad always said this to me. He said, "Son, if you're going to ever hunt big deer, you got to learn how to kill deer first." And he's like, "Shoot whatever you want to, just shoot them." My dad would put me in the stand. I was actually listening to my dad's episode on Southern Outdoorsman today, and I was telling the story of how my dad would go and put me in a spot where I could go see 15 deer, and he would go off in the thicket and go shoot the big one. But I'm
Yeah.
over here just as excited about the 6-pointer, the spike, the doe. He's like, "I know if I put you in a stand, there's going to be a blood trail at some point." And but I wanted to kill the big deer like him, but I hadn't graduated from the point of still killing and drawing blood and like, "All right, Dad, don't put me where all the deer are. Put me where I have the best opportunity to shoot the big one." And he wanted me to say it, basically, instead of
Yeah.
him having to say, "Hey, Jordan, how about letting a spike or a 4-pointer or a 6-pointer go on a walk?" I have another buddy of mine. He's like, he talked to his grandpa and he's like, "Hey, when am I ever going to kill big bucks like you?" He said, "Well, if you stop shooting all these little bucks and wait on the big one, you will." He's like, "Well, I like to kill." Well, now
Yeah.
that guy's a giant buck killer.
Yeah.
And if you live in the area that we do, I live in Western North Carolina. For anybody that's never heard any of my episodes, and I know Eric and I didn't talk about it in the beginning, but I live in Western North Carolina. I know my age class of deer. I know how big they get. And if you shoot a 120-inch deer in Western North Carolina that's 5 years old, you've done something, right?
Yep.
And so I knew shooting this 85-inch deer, I wasn't too far away from where I could be, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this deer doesn't excite me as much anymore. And this is when I was 19, 20, 21, 22. So now I kind of want to start graduating into the, hey, let's start letting all these 6-pointers, 4-pointers, spikes, small 8-pointers go, and I'm gonna start trying to hunt these bigger deer. Well, what I come to find out, and this is a hot take, deer hunting became less fun for me whenever that happened, right? And so
So happy
when
you
I
said that.
and it's really been in the last 10 years that deer hunting's become less fun for me and more like a job, right? Because I'm like, all right, if I'm going to leave the house, I'm going to leave my wife, I'm going to leave my kids, I've got to be able to do it in a manner to where it is the best opportunity that I can have at a really big deer.
Yeah.
And I'm letting 120-inch deer in North Carolina walk now. And I'm going, what am I doing? Like, 10 years ago, I'd have been like, I will never let a deer like that walk.
Yeah.
And so when I shot that deer with my buddy Cody this year, it's the smallest buck I've shot with a bow in North Carolina in a long time. And he's still a really nice deer. And I'm like, dude, that was fun. So I told Dad this year, I've got Tennessee tags, I've got North Carolina tags, I'll have a Kansas tag, possibly Illinois tag. I'm like, we're filling some tags around home, and then I'll worry about shooting the big ones out of state. And that feeling, and it's another reason why I pick up the recurve so much, because a decent 6-pointer comes in, guess what? He's done.
Yeah.
But I became that killer early on while shooting anything and everything, to where whenever I started chasing these big deer, that my heart thumped so many times. I knew what it was like to put a deer behind a set of pins or behind a set of crosshairs. And now, whenever you put 130 or 140, 150, 160, 170 in front of you, you know what it's like to put a deer behind the crosshairs, behind a set of pins. So you're less likely to make a mistake whenever that happens. It's just that deer's smart. Now he's older, so you got to watch that next little movement. You got to, I can get away with little bucks all day. I could pee off the stand and while they're standing there and be fine probably,
Yeah.
but when you get into that caliber of deer, I've been fortunate to kill some really big deer, but now I'm kind of like, all right, I've done what I've wanted to do. Now I want to try to figure out a way to make it fun again.
Yeah. Well, and
That's why I
that,
have my kids.
yeah, that, dude, talking about like older deer too. I mean, I I had 2 bucks this year that were definitely over 5.5. I don't want to say over 6.5. I know one of them is 7.5 or will be the 7.5 this year. Smartest deer I've ever hunted. I mean, I can
That
get
trike,
huh?
that trike or whatever his name is.
No, no, dude, I don't even hunt at that spot anymore. He,
Okay.
yeah, it's a long story. Long story short, they moved. But,
Okay.
at a different spot there was he was a big 6 last year, and I had him in about 5.5-ish. But I only knew that because my buddy that was hunting that property beforehand had this deer for years. Like he's got
Mm-hmm.
old trail camera photos of him. So, um, we go into the season and now he's a big 7. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've got free reign on this property. I'm going to see what I can do. He was the only deer out of 8 shooter bucks that never showed up in daylight up until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I did everything I could. And then another spot had probably 5.5-year-old buck that I would have guessed him at, mid 30s, maybe 40s. And he only daylighted one time. Showed up every
Do you
day.
think that you do too much to try to draw them in?
Well, see, I would say no, just because, Georgia, we can bait, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of learning the new spot, right? That one I may
Mm-hmm.
have done too much. I
Mm-hmm.
actually wouldn't be surprised if I did. Um, but the other one where the 140 was at, or 130, whatever you want to call them, I know where their bubble is because I've been hunting there for 5-6 years and have learned the whole property to a decent point. And he did everything that I thought he would do. I just wasn't there at the right time.
Sure.
Like he would show up at night, lay down sign.
Preaching to the choir, brother.
Yeah. And then middle of the week when I'm at work, oh, there he is, 9:18 in the morning. And I'm like, you bastard, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. And it's not like I'm out here, trying to pull a Lee Ellis and shoot 7, 8, 9.5-year-old deer, but
Yeah.
if I have the opportunity, I'm definitely taking it. So
Yeah.
that's why, like, knowing
I'm gonna
guys
say
like
something
you.
here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You brought up Lee Ellis. I got to hang out with Lee Ellis last weekend. He is one of the most humble. I don't care what anybody says. He is one of the most humble, greatest guys I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah.
There was like
Dude,
10 of us at the dinner table. Made sure that we all prayed before we ate. He was one of the most humble people I've ever met, and there's no way you can ever say about it. The only people that talk crap about him are the people that hate.
Yep.
That's it. If you hate on somebody like that, I don't want to be buddies with you.
Yeah. I mean, dude, early on into this, I was hearing a ton of rumors about him, right?
Yeah.
And I am fortunate enough to be buddies with one of his buddies, right? So I remember
Mm-hmm.
talking to Jay and I was like, are these things true? Because I need to know. Because, I look up to the Sequan guys, especially Lee. I think Lee is by far
Mm-hmm.
one of our best advocates in the hunting industry that we have.
Yeah.
And Jay told me straight up to my face, none of it's true. Lee, like what
Yeah.
you just said, Lee is one of the best people that you could ever meet. So I've had
First
the
time I
privilege of
ever
meeting him
had an
once.
experience with him. First time ever. And
Yeah.
I could see, like, I looked at him, I said, dude, you look tired. So I told him, he's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't
man.
stop.
Yeah, he
I
doesn't
mean,
stop. Just meeting him, I'm a nobody. I'm a small fish in a big pond, and he's the biggest fish in that pond. He's our, you know, Don and Candy Kiski. He's our generation's giant buck killer,
yep.
and just seeing the passion that he has for it, and that how he is with people. And he talked to me like me and him had been buddies for years and years and years and years and years. I was like trying to sit down to go order, and we was just standing there. Everybody else is like waiting on us to be done talking so we could
Yeah.
order. And we just kept talking. I was like, dude, this guy is one of the most humble, down to earth people. So if you don't like Lee Ellis, don't listen to my podcast. Don't be friends of mine, because I'm telling you, he is the man.
Have you tried to get him on your show? Because I've
Mm-mm.
tried for 4 years.
No, and I'll tell you why. Um, I have a sense of things that I want to be friends with people before I ask them to do my podcast. And I'll just be honest with you. I don't want to use him for my podcast,
Yeah.
and And a lot of times, I'm afraid that there's a lot of people out there that try to do that. And so, trying to get guests, I try to be a little different,
Yeah.
and him, I don't care if he ever does my podcast.
Yeah.
Could care less. Would it be amazing? Absolutely. But what I want to do is give him the glory that he deserves as who he is in this industry and give him the support that he deserves. He's not somebody that I'm like, oh, like, yeah, obviously he's the guy that everybody wants to be, everybody wants him on their podcast. And so
Yeah.
I would just rather he didn't even know I had a podcast when I was sitting there talking to him and stuff like that. And the only reason why he found out that I had a podcast is because I was talking to Jason Whitlow there, and I'd had somebody on that he knew. And then that's when Lee asked me about it, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I've got one with Working Class Bow Hunter, and he's like, oh yeah, and then we hit it off there again, and but I was like, hey man, the only thing I said, I'll take that back. So I talked to Jason about getting him on the podcast, and I said maybe one day this redneck right here, and I just done my head over to Lee like that. And I said maybe one day
Yeah.
this redneck right here, if he's ever up in this area chasing a big deer, I'll give him a place to stay, and we can record an intro. And that's all I said to him. He's like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
But it's just he's so busy, and I'm like, man, I like doing in-person podcasts as much as possible, and
Yeah.
somebody like him, I don't want to do it I don't want to do it on
Yeah.
the online. I'd rather have him, come here
There
and
with you.
yeah, or I go down there to him. I got some family that lives really close to him. I was like, hey, I'll go stay there, and you can come over
Well,
there. We
hey,
can podcast.
if you come down here, you need to come up here and record in person because I ain't
All
that
right.
far from them.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
let me know. I agree, man. Like I was talking with Cheeto one time about it, and because Cheeto, the short version of the story is I reached out through Seek One's email, right? And I was like, hey, I've got this local podcast. I've been following Lee for God knows how long. I would love to get him on. That's all I said. And so then I didn't realize I was talking to Cheeto. So I knew Cheeto and I'm like, look, man, and I had to explain to him, I don't want him on there for the views. I could care less about that. I just like Lee. Like I want to talk
Hmm.
to him.
Yeah.
I've spent 5 minutes with the guy one time at a show and he was rushing in with Adrian and a couple of the deer. And that interaction was great. But then the bad part was the guy that I was with, who was part of the crew that I was doing some sort of live podcast with, started talking all this crap. He's like, yeah, man, Lee and them, they had all these things happen that they were chasing someone down and my wife and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, really? I was like, I know you're not telling the truth, just the way that you're telling me about it. Like, look at him and then look at what you're telling me. That's two
Yeah.
completely different people.
Well, the
So
people that like, I'll just say this, and we can go on to the next subject. The people that
yeah,
hate on somebody that kills big deer, I don't want to be buddies with you.
I agree. I
I don't
agree.
want to be
Unless,
buddies with anybody that hates on somebody that is doing something that nobody else is willing to do. And people can say, oh, he pays all this money and he does all that stuff.
yeah.
Man, if you, okay, let's just say he does. If you had the money, you do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
And then,
Look at Spook Span.
and then
Perfect
two,
example.
if you had the money, you wouldn't be doing like, if he had all this money to spend on all these deer, why would he go and hunt deer in people's backyards?
Yeah. He wouldn't.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, shout out to Lee, big fan, always been a big fan, always will be, especially after meeting him now. I'm his biggest fan. I don't fanboy around nobody, but I was like, hey, man, you're a cool dude. I like
Yeah.
you.
Well, Lee, if you're listening, we love you and come on our podcast. Um,
Go on, go on Eric's podcast.
I
He's
will,
he's
dude.
close.
I don't like cleaning, but let me tell you what, if he ever said, yeah, man, I'll drive down one day, this house would be spotless. You could eat off the floor. It would be one
No,
of those deals where
I,
it's
I,
like,
I'd throw
bro,
my three cats on him and say, hey, man, love these cats or you can't come in here.
I'll put my pug on him and be like, hey, you need to hold her. This is kind of a tradition we do every episode.
Yeah.
No, but changing gears, man, before we wrap it up, I do want to talk to you about turkeys
Okay.
because I am new to the turkey game. To be
What do you want to
completely
know?
honest, the only reason I'm even hunting them this year is because G5 came out with that Dirty Bird broadhead
Hmm.
and I want to use it.
The crispy edition.
Yeah, dude, I knew about that like months before it came out, and Brian sent me a photo and I couldn't show anybody and it was killing me. Because did you ever play Halo as a kid?
No.
Okay. Well, do you know like the energy sword in Halo? Like, do you know anything about Halo?
hmm
Okay.
I know a
So,
little bit about it. I had buddies that played it and stuff. Yeah.
dude, it's so much fun. Such a good game. But that is what Brian told me the broadhead looked like. So then he sends me the picture of it, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm hitting the turkey woods this year. And so I'm supposed to be getting some with the new bow that's coming in a couple of weeks, but that made me, I went and bought a slate call. I already have a spot that's picked out, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, but I do tend to have a knack of finding turkey somehow when I'm looking for deer. So I
hmm
might just go in and
You're going to
scout,
see more deer than you've ever seen before.
and that's going to kill me
hmm
because I want to shoot the deer. I mean, turkeys are cool, but I mean, like what would you say in the easiest way possible would be the most important thing for someone who's brand new to turkey hunting?
Um, get proficient, get proficient at calling, right? And listen, you don't have to be Dave Owens. You don't have to be Matt Van Sice. You don't have to be John Miller. You don't have to be any of these guys. I mean, sometimes a hen sounds like the worst caller you've ever heard in your life. Just get proficient at knowing when to call. Sometimes when to call. I'm not going to say sometimes. Almost every situation, when to call is the best thing to know. If you've got a bird gobbling his head off, don't call too much, especially since you're new. You don't know the time to when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, right? Setup is everything. Knowing that the birds are, where they like to be, being set up properly. I assume that if you're going turkey hunt with a bow, you're going to do it out of a blind.
Well,
If I were you, I would put a blind out
okay.
and do that. You know, if you've never done it, because you're going to move in the woods like you do for deer, and especially being with a bow, if you want to up your odds, you can put a blind in. You don't have to brush it like you do a deer. Turkeys don't care. You can put a blind in a field while they're in the same field, and they don't care. Just be patient. A lot of times when the biggest thing that I see for new hunters and turkeys is they don't know when to be patient or when to sit still or when to be quiet. And you will kill more turkeys being quiet than you will calling. And you're better off to learn just a little bit of calling, knowing when to do it, and when to do it. If a turkey's gobbling at you and he's answering you every time, you make him gobble 8 or 10 times. Stop calling. He knows you're
Okay.
there. He'll eventually show up right there. And there's going to be times where you're turkey hunting and you had a bird calling like crazy, and you go 30 minutes, you don't hear him, and you're like, I got to get up and move because he moved. That turkey didn't move. Only way he may have moved was towards you.
Hmm.
And so for you with a bow early, knowing deer hunt these things,
Okay.
be
Because I
quiet,
don't
be patient. If
it
he's
sounds very similar to like my strategy with deer anyway, because I'll typically wait till a certain time, especially in the rut, right? And call and then just wait. I mean, dude, what's crazy is I think anyway, grunting war with a buck this past season.
mhm.
It was either me and a deer or it was me and the neighbor. I'm not sure, but I did text him and say, "Hey, are you back at your spot?" Because he's not that far away from where I was, maybe like 200 yards or so. And hit the tube, and then I heard the and I was like, "Oh, all right." And then he did it back and
Well,
he never came in. So I don't know.
turkeys and deer, calling for turkeys and calling for deer is two totally different things. So
Yeah, and that's what I've
it's
kind of
not,
been learning.
when I say when, it's a lot of people love to hear turkeys gobble.
Yeah.
So they're going to call just to hear the turkey gobble. And if they think that they ain't hearing the turkey gobble, that the turkey's gone or that they've messed up, that's hardly, that's 2 out of 10 cases where you've got a bird gobbling like crazy and he shuts up,
Mhm.
to where you can get aggressive and the bird will fire back up and come in. You really got to know what you're doing when it comes to doing that. You know, I've been very fortunate. I have killed a lot of turkeys. I've killed a lot of turkeys since I was 8 years old. So I've been killing them for almost 30 years. and I've tagged out every year since I was 8, and I've shot them
Oh,
in a
wow.
bunch of different states. Here's the deal. I have killed more turkeys making 1 to 2 sounds.
Really?
I've yelped one time and then maybe clucked one time or purred one time or may have just yelped twice. And if that bird's ready to die, he's gonna come in.
Yeah.
And if he's ready to, if he's wants a woman bad enough, he'll come in. Um, the idea is you don't have to just keep sitting there and yelping and yelping and yelping and yelping and yelping. That right there, he's just gonna be like, well, she's just happy as I am. I'm gonna sit right here and chill and wait and see if she comes here.
Yeah.
But if he's answering, shut up. If you make him
Okay.
gobble 2 or 3 times, not on the roost, I'm talking about on the ground.
Yeah.
If he's on the roost and you're within 100 yards, I'd make one call and then shut up. I mean, I've sat there and looked at, if you can see the bird in the tree, don't say a word. Don't say a word until he hits the ground. He hits the ground, make 1 or 2 little yelps, and if he answers you, shut up. And see, let him gobble on his own. Mystery kills. Turkeys are pretty curious animals.
Yeah.
Mystery kills more turkeys than you going over there and talking junk to them.
I'm so glad you said that because I would have thought just call and call and call. Like I know with deer we don't do that, but like I said, I don't know nothing about turkeys. The only experience I have with turkeys is getting chased by two jakes one year at a job site. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2 little velociraptors coming at me. One turkey at a zoo trying to square up, and then um this one piece of public land by me. Every single time I go and do spring scouting, I find turkeys, and I'm
Yeah.
talking loads of turkeys, but it's not during season. So
Well, I'll tell you this. You said that you're friends with this guy, Jay Maxwell. Um, he is one of the most slept on turkey hunters in the
oh,
game.
for sure.
I would put him up. I've watched a lot of his content. Honestly, watch a lot of that stuff on YouTube. Watch how he does it. You know, he's a very aggressive turkey hunter. He
Yeah.
has got years and years and years and years and years in the game. You being new, I would just look up turkey hunting out of a blind. What are these people doing? But also calling and how he calls and how he shuts up and how he sits there, how he sets up on these things. There's so turkeys they are one of the smartest animals for a pea-sized brain that you could ever find, but they're also very dumb. So, I mean, you could hold a black trash bag up and they'll come up and fight it, you know. But
Really?
yeah, I mean, if they're aggressive enough,
That's
absolutely.
true.
The idea is, man, is talk sweet to them, but don't talk too much. So nobody wants a woman that talks your head off.
That is true. That
Nobody
is
wants a
very true.
woman that talks your head off.
Had quite a few, and that's
Yeah.
obviously
So
not didn't work out.
yeah.
So,
So I mean, the idea is, man, just get in there. You have to feel it too.
yeah.
Like there's a sixth sense that like somebody like Jay has, or somebody like, I mean, I can fortunate enough to say that I have kind of developed that sixth sense to understand like, okay, I need to make a move on this bird, or oh, this bird he's just standing there strutting. They have strut zones where they'll just go in circles and circles and circles and gobble their head off. And as soon as you start moving to them, they'll shut up because they know that you're coming.
Yeah. Okay.
And so just take it easy. It's your first year. Don't call too much. Let the birds do the talking. You call, answer them. Don't try to make them answer you. Answer them. If he gobbles, then yelp. Do
Yeah.
that a few times, especially if he's on the ground, and just sit there and be patient.
Okay. Well, if I am blessed enough to get one, I'll send you a picture of its head in my hand
That's fine.
because that's the
Try to
only way
chop
I'm
its head
gonna
off.
get them. But look, man, before we wrap up with this, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll end it there.
So the name of my podcast is Hunting the Mason Dixon. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple, anywhere that you listen, find your podcast. I'm on the Working Class Bowhunter Network. So if you can't find me on Apple or Spotify, go to workingclassbowhunter.com, go to the podcast, and you click on it. You'll see mine. You can click there, and it'll take you right to it. On Instagram, you can look me up on Hunt, HUNT MD for Mason Dixon Pod. So Hunt MD Pod. That's my handle on there. And then Hunting the Mason Dixon Podcast on Facebook. But like I don't do a whole lot on my personals. I do some, but that's Bow Hunter Jones there. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, you feel free to shoot me a message. I don't care. If you say, hey, I absolutely hated your interview with Eric, then I'll give you a thumbs up and call it a day, you know. And
Forward me
but
the message if you get that.
no,
All right.
no, I ain't gonna do that. So, but the idea is, yeah, man, I do my best on social media. I'm not the best at it, so forgive me there for that. But yeah, I'm always open book and always open to messages. Anybody wants to shoot me one, that's totally fine.
Hell yeah, man. Well, Jordan, appreciate you coming on, brother. Everybody go listen to his podcast. It is very good. It's very good. His voice will put you to sleep. In a good way.
That's not a good
Very
thing.
it's a good thing. It's calming. I'll say that. What's really funny is I remember when, and I'll say this before we get off here, but I remember the first time I talked to you, and I think it was on the phone, and like you sounded almost exactly the same as Jay Maxwell to me, and I was like, ain't no way. I was like, ain't no way that's Jay. And then I looked at my phone, I was like, no, that's Jordan. That's that Southern twang, man. That, us Midwesterners that migrated down here, we don't have that. I still
Yeah.
got that, that Chicago sound to me. But yeah, dude, no, honestly, love the podcast. I love everything you're
Thanks,
doing.
man.
I'm super proud of you. I do brag about you quite a bit to some of my guests and some of my buddies because I'm like, yo, I know mine's Southeastern Bowhunter, but this dude right here, that's the true Southern hunting podcast. If you want like culture and everything with it. So,
I appreciate
um,
it.
yeah, man, you're killing it. You're killing it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you coming on, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.